live. We are live, Bobby. So you're telling me you're getting yet another 135 f1.8. Is that correct?
That's right. I'm going to try that out here to test that as well to see how it performs on the Nikon Z8 and Z9 respectively. I'm going to follow in your footsteps, Matt, and see how the new Viltrox goes. Because I have not mounted it to the Z8 yet. So I'm going to ask you the question. How is it for the grip? Does it protrude into the hand?
No problem. I didn't even notice. I didn't even think about it.
Okay.
Now, can you verify that we're actually live, Bobby, as we just make some...
I did get a notification, Matt, and
it does look like we're live.
Well, it looks like we're live somewhere.
We are 100% live. Welcome, everybody. It's absolutely fantastic to see you. We are here for BAM Pod number 4. This is the Bobby and Matt podcast. We're going to do it every week. We're trying to do it on a Friday, although if you're in the USA, it is a Thursday. If you can please let us know how the sound and vision is looking. Bobby, how are you in Singapore on this beautiful Thursday morning? Thursday afternoon.
Yes. I'm doing well, actually. Yesterday was just full of rain. It did not stop raining for like 36 hours, literally 36 hours of rain. So today there was a bit of sunshine. Took the dog out. She was very happy. And getting ready to rock and roll. We got some people here. We've got Rakesh, Kent, Jonathan, PH. All right. Hello, guys. Good morning.
Welcome and thanks for joining us. Now, Bobby, obviously the biggest news I think that's happened in the last 24 hours has got something to do with something that's burning a hole in your hand right now. Can you show us? What?
I don't have it with me anymore.
It's gone. Okay.
It's gone. It's gone. Yeah, I only had it for a short time. The GFX100, I know. The GFX100 RF. That is the big talking point last night in the camera community. Launched last night, or officially announced, I should say. A number of creators had it in their hands for probably some time, some longer than others. But yeah, it was... Costa says, I take a shot every time Bobby says respectively. Gonna get trashed. You are going to get trashed, my friend. I will even say it more now, I want to see the sloshing typing going into play here. But
yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's get into it. But no, it was a very interesting camera, Matt. Very interesting camera. It's getting a lot of people talking, especially it's a smaller, compact, medium format. It's a 35mm f4 lens, so no IBIS inside of it. It's a fixed lens with a leaf shutter as well. So yeah, the community's talking. People are excited by it, but at the same time, they're wondering f4, low light, no IBIS. How is this going to perform in the real world? And yeah, that has been a topic I'm seeing on threads and on my comments on YouTube as well.
Yeah, well, I've just got images of it. For those that maybe are not aware of this camera even existing yet, I've just got the website up at the moment, and you can see it's really sort of square. Wow. Looking at it front on, it looks so square. Isn't that amazing?
It is. It's basically an X100 but it's a little bit taller.
Yep.
It has the same body design, except you don't have the optical viewfinder. It doesn't have the hybrid viewfinder. It's just a 5.76 million EVF. It has this, I thought it was a flash when I got the camera because it has this sort of large, it looks like a small flash, but it's actually just for autofocusing. That autofocusing, whatever they call it. What is that terminology? What do they call that thing? The window, the little light?
Some sort of confirmation. I don't... Sorry, I was busy concentrating on the comments and I wasn't quite even sure what you were saying. Can you say that again?
No worries. Yeah, so there's when you look at where the viewfinder is at normally, let's say on an X100, you've got this optical viewfinder. It's a hybrid, right? But on this, there's no hybrid. It's just an EVF. And you've got this sort of light. It looks like a flash. I thought it was a flash when I first saw it. I'm like, oh, there's a flash on this camera. That's kind of cool where it's at. But no, it is just for autofocusing, just to sort of help you detect in lower light situations. But it'd have been nice to have a flash, especially at f4. I missed that. I will tell you that right now. I see John Ishii's here in the house. Yeah.
G'day, John. G'day, Z-Wade. G'day, Costas. G'day, Craig. Oh, we're all over the world right now. Yeah, yes, look, it's interesting to me that you go to all this trouble to make, a first. Is this a first? Is this the very first compact, small, medium format, fixed lens camera that we've seen in the digital mirrorless space?
It is. I mean, you could say the Hasselblad 907X100C is probably smaller in terms of overall dimensions, but I mean, it's boxier, but you attach lenses to that. Okay.
Yeah. So so this is pretty much a first. and they've
Yeah.
decided to go with an f4 lens, which is equivalent to a 3.2 or something. Is that what they
You,
said? But my issue with that
Matt,
statement is
Matt,
it.
your math is actually correct. You're very good with your math. You're very good with it. Somebody studied in school. Clearly not me. You did.
The thing is, though, that it's an f4 from a light gathering perspective. Even so, from a bokeh perspective, it's a 3.2, right? Is that
right? Yes.
We're right?
Exactly. You're exactly right. Exactly. That's the best way to put it. From a light gathering perspective, it's still f4. From that depth of field perspective, it's an f3.2 thereabouts. Yeah. Yeah. So it makes it challenging.
And then you don't have IBIS.
Right. And it's 100 megapixels on top of that.
So you need to be really stable. Because besides those two things, I think it's beautiful. I love it. It's very exciting. Now, Bobby put out a great video that everybody needs to go and take a look at. He went to, I think, a motorcycle show or some sort of motorsports show in Singapore. Lots of textures, lots of shiny things, lots of beautiful shots. How was it working with the camera? You were there with the Fuji ambassador, who we hope to have on the channel sometime soon.
Yeah, we'll get.
How did it feel in hand?
A lot of fun. The camera feels great in the hand. It feels better in hand to me than the X100 especially if you have larger hands, because it has a little bit of a grip and it feels really good. I have to say the ergonomics on this camera are fantastic. Really enjoyed it. The design, you have to see it in person. It is squarish, but it also, it's one of these products where you need to see it to understand it and appreciate it. I mean, Fujifilm's done a really good job building this. It's beautiful. The using it in that scenario, obviously this is much more of a street photography kind of a scenario, or something with more faster autofocus and everything else, but the camera performed relatively well. You did notice though at times, if you go on auto, and again, this is a pre-production camera, so I do want to preface this by saying that the firmware could be fixed, and we could only shoot JPEGs. We cannot shoot RAW files at this point in time, or at least see the RAW files. I would say there were some times where you're going to get some shutters, you're going to get some handshake, because at 100 megapixels, you have to be very precise. You see every imperfection. At 24, maybe at 45 or 50, you can get by with a little bit of handshake. At 100, you see it all. So there were some shots that weren't, perfectly sharp that I got, and there were others that were bang on, but it's a camera that you're going to have to spend some time with to get to know its nuances, to understand it, and to understand its strengths and where you can shoot it and maximize it and where you're going to struggle with it.
Now, Z-Wade has said the idea of this camera is kind of wacky, which is exactly why it's neat and fun. And I totally agree with that. And I think if we all had endless resources, we'd probably have one of these in our bag for exactly those reasons.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing about it is now we've reached, we talked about this in the last couple episodes, we've reached sort of this pinnacle of performance and speed and everything else in cameras. And now it's about making photography fun. And you're seeing a lot more of the brands sort of, gravitate towards that. And I think with this camera as well, it will be a very popular camera. I think this will sell out right away, even at its price point of almost 5,000 USD. I mean, we have the YouTube community, we have the internet community saying F4, no IBIS, no way. And then you have the average buyer who's going to be like, this looks cool. 100 megapixels. Okay, I'll buy it. You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see in the long term how it does. But I would say the initial sales will probably be very, very good.
Now, I do want to talk about another part of that, but I just wanted to say questions, because the reason we're here is so that we can interact. So any questions that you have about anything at all, please, a QQQ in the comments. Also, to make sure this video gets out there and people actually know that it's happening, please give us a like. Just smash on that like button. Now, Bobby, one feature that I do think is cool about this is you've got 100 megapixels. So this allows you to crop and then get like a 50 mil equivalent lens, and where does it go up to? Does it go up to like an 85 equivalent, and you're at like 20 megapixels? How far does it get? Because of course it's a fixed lens, it's a fixed sensor. The only way we can do this is with digital crop.
Right, you're absolutely right. So I think the farthest in is 63 millimeters, which is equivalent to 80 millimeters in full frame, and it's about that. So it's 20. It's a 28, 35. It's like 30. It's a 35 millimeter medium format lens, then it goes to 45, then 63, so to speak. So you have digital crop on that. Plus, then you have all the various different aspect ratios you can play around with too. So that dial in the back of it is a lot of fun. If you love to shoot X-Pan 65 by 24, it's so much fun to shoot with this camera system. It really is. And that feature, yeah.
If you choose those modes, do you have the original file, or are they cropped and the info's gone?
I couldn't open up the raw files yet, so I can't tell you.
Of course.
But my guess is if it's like the GFX100 and the 100S2 and 100, you will still maintain the full resolution of raw file. It just has the crop sort of overlaid it, and you can adjust that as you want. So I believe, because Hasselblad does this as well, you still maintain the full resolution, you just get that crop. So I think raw, you're fine.
And do you know when it's shipping? Like, just in case someone, wants to grab one who happens to be here today.
Yeah, we got a lot of people interested in this. I think it's going to probably either, I heard April, mid-April or end of April. I'm not too sure. Again, the thing about it is that the US will get information that we in Singapore don't get. For example, John's asking, is the price 7,999 Singapore dollars, which is 8,000 Singapore dollars? And John, I don't have that answer. I know that they've been back and forth on pricing, so I don't have a confirmation on it yet. I mean, they may have announced it today. I don't know. But so far, I don't have that confirmation. But I think it's around that ballpark, so to speak. But they probably will give some freebies and goodies and things like that to get people on board. But I'll tell you what comes in the box, which is really cool. I didn't get the strap, but I guess other people got a strap that comes in the box. And it's a corded strap. It's a very nice looking strap. But it comes with a square hood. It comes with a UV filter, and it comes with a round lens cap and the adapter. So you're getting a lot of accessories with this already out the bat. And the strap is really nice from what I saw on YouTube. I didn't get it, unfortunately, but yeah, it looks really good.
And obviously you didn't get to keep one. So when you say you get it, you got to play with it.
I got to play with it for about a week and a half, and I had to go back because I think Fujifilm is getting ready to do this mini tour around, I think, Singapore, Malaysia, so to speak. And I think they're going to be, I don't know what they're calling it exactly, but there's a lot of photographers and influencers talking about the camera system. I'll be there as in attendance as a fan, but yeah, but it'll be, I think they needed all the units back for that.
Now, please, everybody, don't forget to give us a like. And if you've got any questions, that's why we're here doing this crazy live business, which Bobby and I are both still wrapping our heads around how to do this as well as possible. Yeah. Now, Bobby, is there any last thoughts you want to talk about in regards to the beautiful new GFX100 RF? Interestingly, RF for rangefinder, there is no rangefinder. There is an EVF.
Right. It's not the typical rangefinder, but I have a feeling that we're going to have to rethink our definition of rangefinder in the future. Sure. You know what I mean? As we get into this digital world, I think the optical viewfinder aspect, I mean, that is the traditional rangefinder, but like anything, things do change and evolve. And so, I mean, it looks like a rangefinder. It feels like a rangefinder. Obviously, you don't have to worry about a focusing patch, but outside of that, it's kind of a rangefinder. Let's go to some of the comments before we move on.
Yeah, sure.
Joe says, I shoot landscape with the GFX100S. And it's the 2035 f4 is my small package. That is nothing but that's not a small lens. It's a beautiful lens, but that's not a small lens, but it's a beautiful lens. Let's see. Z Wade saying, actually looking at the images, the way the dial is designed, especially the front dial, is absolutely beautiful from a design perspective. I wouldn't know how it feels, but it's really attractive. Yes, the design on this is really cool. It's the nuances on this camera. Once you get into your hands, the knurling, the way that it feels, the craftsmanship, Fujifilm has really stepped up on this camera. And I would tell you that the moment that a lot of you get in your hands and try it, I feel it's even superior than the X100 in build quality. It really is. It's up there where I think people are going to compare it, rightfully so, to let's say the Leica Q3 and other cameras out there. It's beautifully made, really beautifully made.
Well, does it have
leather around it? Yeah.
Yeah. It's $4,999 USD. Is that right?
Yeah.
So that's basically the same price that a Z9 is at the moment. So I would expect a high degree of quality when you're dealing with that price point. We're at the premium end at this point, besides Hasselblad, Leica, and Phase 1 and so on. So,
right. I mean,
But
I would have liked to seen leather around it or some
yep,
sort of faux leather wrap around it. Personally, that would be my preference at this price point. But
yep.
Fujifilm doesn't do that. But I guess for, durability reasons and for manufacturing reasons, it probably makes sense. But it would have been nice to see that and then change it out. If you get a silver for like a brown leather or a red, you can, play around with it. You know what I mean? That would have been cool. Maybe in the future, they'll do something like that. Who
I think
knows?
Roy Bixby has made a fantastic comment, which is digital rangefinders are not rangefinders, and that's a good call. I think obviously what Bobby means is rangefinders, traditional, are going to be replaced with digital rangefinders, and we can even see that Leica is succumbing to it by way of the fact that you can add an EVF to your M series camera, and they are giving you that digital experience. And I think you never know. They may even go to full digital EVF at some point in time. Like that
Never
might be
know.
where they're
No,
never.
no. They might. You never know.
Yeah,
You never
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hello to fellow citizens. So great to have you here, King Kirk. Yes, the new Canon, the Komodo. We're getting there. We're getting there. So, any last thoughts on the Fuji?
I mean, right now. I mean, we'll let the YouTube world kind of sift over it and ask their questions. But I think the reality of it is that everybody who had this camera in advance, we never had access to the raw files, or at least most of us. Maybe someone like Jonas Rask did, who was working with Fujifilm, or
Yep.
other creators who had direct connection with Fujifilm did have access, but a lot of us did not. So I think. I would just tell everybody online, look at the images and do give us a bit of a curve on this, that we did not have the full 100 megapixel raw files to play with. And the
Yeah.
JPEGs, as good as they are, they don't have the latitude, nor do they have the dynamic range of the RAWs. And so we couldn't really maximize the files. You know
I mean,
what
let's face it, 8-bit JPEG versus 16-bit, which is what the whole point of
Huge
these
difference.
cameras. Very, very. We're talking trillions of colors versus, 4 billion or something enormously different like that. Z Wade has a question: is it metallic and cool to the touch? Because I
Yes.
love an industrial feel. Hands on.
Yes, it is. It is. It is like that. It is. If you like a cool metallic touch, it's like that. It really is a beautifully designed camera. I mean, the moment that I saw it in person, I was like, wow, this is stunning. It is really, really stunning. So, guys, you're going to be very happy. If John, I know you said you put an order in a black and a silver one. John's on top of it. John's got his Fujifilm game on. He's ready to rock and roll. When you get into
Yay.
your hands, you're gonna really enjoy it, and a lot of you out there as well. But yeah, there's so much other news out there, Matt. But anyway,
Yeah, I
keep the
know. We got to
questions
keep moving.
coming.
And
Yeah.
John, you've got to let us know. We'll get you on at a later date so you can tell us what you think of your camera once you start using it. A question from Roy: do you think Fujifilm will go to 150 megapixel sensors like Hasselblad? Look, the only way is up. That's the world that we live in. If they can't keep giving us new things, sure, it might take a year or 5 years, but yes. I don't know anything
my
about
take
that
on
sensor.
Yeah, that sensor is basically I mean, if we're talking about the phase one sensor or the H6D sensor, or I know H6D is 100. The phase one, again, there's rumors of a 150 megapixel sensor, but you get to a point then of what compromises, because nowadays the problem with medium format is that we all know the image quality is there, but everybody wants the full frame, the full frame performance and usability in a medium format. So do these sensors have fast autofocusing? Do they have the processors inside of it to maximize this without being a massively big camera? I mean, what are they going to have to sacrifice? I mean, the thing about this is heat issues as well. Whenever you go into something large like that, these larger cameras like a phase one, 150 megapixels, it's a big camera. There's a reason it's big. Even the small one that I don't know what they call it, that has that fixed lens. I tried it. It's very hard to use. It's still a box. It's still quite large. You know what I mean? It's not this tiny little camera, but there's no IBIS. There's really not much autofocusing involved with this. So you have to take in consideration as Fujifilm is looking at medium format and trying to make it the new full frame, is giving you, better, 16-bit colors in RAW. They're trying to maximize the autofocusing, the video qualities. At 150 megapixels, are you going to get all this, or are you going to go back to just one shot, one focus point, and that's it? And so I would say, look, we're good at 100 megapixels for a long time. I would love to see the better performance, better autofocusing, better video. Once they get there, I think then we'll move on. But I mean, look, we're still on 24 megapixel full frame cameras, right? After how many years? We're still at 24, and people are using it and buying them and enjoying them. So I think we're at 100 for a while.
And they create great results. Jonathan has said, I hope Leica never make an M without a rangefinder, because the N stands for that German word, which I'm not going to try and mangle, which that word means rangefinder. So I agree, Jonathan. They just can't do it. There's so many comments flying along. I had another one there. But what we will do is we will move on to our next topic, which is this topic right here.
Viltrox?
Let me hold that
There
up.
you go.
There it is.
Look at that small lens. Look at that small lens you have.
Look, it's as big as my head, which is quite an achievement. I've got a big head. So this lens was officially released for the Z mount just 2 days ago. And I've had the good fortune to play with it for a long time. It is a big lens. It is a heavy lens, but it's a lens that performs. Now, Bobby, you've already used the E-mount version. I think both of us have had fantastic experiences with this lens, haven't we?
Oh, yeah. Viltrox is one of these lens manufacturers that I think people are going to really pay attention to, especially with this lab series. The 135 is a stellar lens for the price point. You just cannot deny it. I have not tried the Z-mount version of it. I just got that in, so I will try that out. But it is, I mean, look, they've got some phenomenal glass. And Viltrox is really making a statement now. And then they've already talked about the new 35 millimeter that's going to be coming. There's a 50, I believe, and an 85 on top of that. I mean, if they continue to make glass at the quality of what we're seeing here with this 135, I mean, they're going to be one of the top third-party lens manufacturers for autofocusing mounts in the market. I mean, they're going to really jump the ladder quick, because this lens is friggin' awesome.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Someone in my comments said that, you know, Viltrox is there sort of maybe potentially knocking Sigma off their perch. And it's like, I hadn't really thought about that, but why not?
I mean,
why,
not yet. Not yet.
No,
not yet.
Sure.
Yeah.
But the train is coming.
It is. It's coming. For sure it's coming. And I would say that I mean, I don't know how they're doing the Z mount full frame. I don't know how they're doing the E mount full frame. Are they doing reverse engineering? Do they have agreements with the companies respectively? I don't know. Whatever they're doing a great job. They're doing a great job.
Yeah, we don't know what's happening, and you know, that's just the way it goes. Viltrox have obviously made an enormous amount of AF lenses for Z mount. They've been doing it since, I think, 2020 was when I got the first one. I mean, is it the same for E mount? I mean, although E mount's kind of more open in general, isn't it? Kind of.
It is more open,
except for that 15 frames per second thing.
Right. They're starting to let up on that depending on the lens manufacturer. So they are starting to, you know, I think with Tamron, they're giving them access to maximize the potential of the camera. For example, when I tried the Sigma 300 to 600 f4 recently, I took it out with the A9 III, and it stuck. It doesn't do the 120 frames per second. Only one time it did on accident. Like, whoa, there it is. And then it went away. So it is a soft.
The firmware went, whoa, you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, exactly. For whatever reason, the camera thought it was a Sony lens for one moment in time for like a split second, and it worked. But otherwise, I think it's around 15, 20 frames per second, which is still fine. It's more than enough, but you don't maximize it. But yeah, that image quality of that lens is freaking awesome.
And there's a great question there that's brought up here by King Kruk. I think we pronounced that. He says, I think it's a he. He says, I'll take a Plena still. Absolutely. And look, this raises a great question. It's a great topic of discussion. Should we, should we consider third-party manufacturers? Is it a good idea? What are the differences? What are the pros and the cons? And, you know, it's interesting. When I went into a camera store about 20 years ago, and the guy behind the counter said, you know, I'm like, should I get this Tamron, or what do you think? And he said to me, well, look, Nikon, when they're making a lens, they know what their camera roadmap is for, like, you know, the next 3-5 years, whatever. So they can future engineer a lens for the future, whereas the third-party manufacturers don't. And that statement from that retailer kind of kept me on that path for a very long time. But I have to say, third-party lenses just keep getting better and better. And Sigma and Tamron have done a great job for years. What do you think, Bobby? Are you by default? I mean, you and I are in a different position because we get sent this stuff to review. But if you weren't reviewing, which way would you go personally?
I understand. I think John has a thought. He says, "Look, I'm scared to buy Viltrox right now." I understand the hesitancy on it, and I think that's why these companies do send us products to review and get it out there to sort of, ease those
Concerns.
thoughts, those concerns. I would say that knowing what I know now, I wouldn't be scared to get into a lens like this because at the price point, you're still going to get, look, if it doesn't turn out well, you're not losing thousands of dollars. Okay. Which is a good thing. It's a lower entry point. But at the same time, not everybody can afford. I remember years ago when I was first trying to get my DSLR system, right? And I ended up with a Canon, I think it was a 20D back in the day. And I was trying to get like I wanted a 70 to 200. I'd love to get a 2.8, but I could not afford it. So I had to go for an F4. And you struggle this, but the financial limitations are very, very real. But if you can get something out there that gives you the same kind of image quality for less, I would say go for it. I mean, I get it. I understand it being want to be, specifically the Canon all the way through, or Nikon all the way through, or Leica all the way through. But we're at this point in time in engineering and the industrial design that these companies are doing some great, great things. It's not like what it was 20 years ago. It's not. They're in a very different ballpark now. And the Asian manufacturers are coming up so fast because look, hate to tell you guys, but a lot of this stuff is made in their own countries. And the same factories and all these kind of things. You'd be surprised how incestuous this industry is. I mean, we as reviewers know this, but it's very incestuous. And so you'd be surprised who makes what, who does what, and how they work together. So I would say don't worry so much about it. Enjoy it.
Look, I think very well said, Bobby. And I've used this lens in for about a month, and I've used it in
Yeah,
all sorts of conditions: heavy rain, high altitude, at the beach, and I've got no reason to believe that it won't be doing the same thing in 10 years. Right now,
mm,
as a new lens, I think it's fantastic. And as I've promised, I will be putting the Planner and this lens next to each other and pitting them head to head, which even I'm excited to see how that ends up because I haven't done it yet. I thought to do the right thing by this lens, I just have to review it in its own merit. So that side by
sure.
side is going to be super interesting. And then I'm going to make another video on top of that and throw the Sony 135 1.8 into the mix. And people have asked me to get the Sigma and some other lenses, but I just don't have access to this much stuff. But that is going to be super interesting. And I do think Viltrox is doing amazing stuff. And there are other third-party Chinese manufacturers like Suray, Laowa, TT Artisans, Seven Artisans.
Yeah.
They're actually, I see a lot of these lenses and they're doing good work.
Yeah. By the way, Siri just got. They just announced they are in the L Mount Alliance now, so they are now with the like a
Oh,
Panasonic, which is
oh,
interesting. I thought it would be Viltrox, to be frank with you,
yeah,
but Siri's in it now with
yeah.
the. I think the 85-1.4 is their first lens in that mount, so should be interesting.
I didn't hear that, and that's fantastic. Now we've got a QQQ from John. Uh, you think DJI and other Chinese optical companies will put huge pressure on the Japanese camera companies? Yeah, for
Of
sure,
course,
for
of course,
sure.
they're
Like,
already doing it. They're already doing it.
yeah, look, they're absolutely closing the gap, and they're closing the gap enough that it's like, as Bobby just said, if you can spend half or a third of the price and get something that's, let's say, 80 to 90% as good, and it might even be more, and in some cases it might be less. That's absolutely true. I have received some just straight bad lenses in the past, but this is from
Sure.
companies that we've hardly ever heard of. Uh,
Yep.
but to watch Viltrox, and I've seen the first lens I got was the 85 1.8 in late
Mm.
2020, and it had a little bit of chromatic aberration. The focus was a little bit jittery, all these things. But to see how it's advanced in just 5 years, yes, they are absolutely the train is coming.
But you know what it's like if you look back, a number of years ago, where how the Japanese, the Japanese camera industry sort of threatened the European camera industry,
Yes,
right?
good call.
Obviously, there was Leica and Zeiss and all that, and then here comes the Japanese, especially Nikon, coming in and saying, "Hey, look what we're doing," and really upsetting that market. And you're seeing that next wave with the Chinese market as well. They're coming in and they're upsetting the Japanese and as well as the Europeans. So, but now everybody's working together. So again, guys, I would say I don't want to, it's people are working together. Let's put it that way. It's not so black and white.
Sure.
So everybody's
love
kind
is
of
in the air everywhere you
That's
look
right.
around. That's what you're saying. So Roy Bixby's got
Matt
a question.
Matt Irwin with a voice. Look at you.
Let's go cabaret singing, Bobby.
There we go.
Anyway, do you think we will see a wave of power zooms? Yeah, look, video is a thing. Clearly, we're watching more video as humans than we've ever watched. We've got more streaming services. Every social media platform does video. And thus, the tools for videographers are just becoming more and more plentiful. So the answer is yes. We're going to see more of. I think we're going to see more of everything, which will segue nicely over to what we're going to talk about next.
What's that, Matt?
Are you ready to talk red?
Ooh, somebody got a new camera.
Well, maybe
somebody got a new camera.
I got a surprise.
Did you get it? You
go.
got a surprise.
Oh
Did
God,
Matt buy his first red camera?
Excited. Look at this beast. Oh my God.
Wow.
There it is right there. This is
that's big, long,
the red
Holy cow.
Komodo X with Bobby. Isn't it insane? Why? Bobby's lost his mind.
No, I said it's big, long, and black. I said it's not wrong.
Bobby. I thought we were G-rated. Not anymore.
Well, you brought out the Komodo with a big, long lens on it.
Yeah, sure, I did. It's just the 85mm 1.2, as you can clearly see there. And I've started to play with this thing, and I got to just say, 16-bit video, global shutter, up to, I think, 120 frames per second in 4K and 80 frames. It's a whole different world. It's a whole new world. And I'm just so excited by this bit here, which is, can you see it? The gold mount. Now, the gold mount obviously means that I can natively mount all the Z glass that I have. And I just don't think, and I think we could make a whole episode about how much of a game changer this is, because not only does the Z mount mean Z lenses, but it means all these lenses that we can adapt. And we can almost adapt everything, right, Bobby? Like the only thing we can't adapt. What do you think is the only kind of modern mount we can't adapt to Z mount that I haven't seen an adapter for?
Well, Z to RF for sure.
RF.
Z to RF we haven't seen. Yeah, we haven't seen that. But then again, they have an RF mount anyway. So
and that is my point. Red have a proper license with Canon to make RF versions. So basically, you can make this camera shoot every lens under the sun with this version except RF. And if you need to do RF, you buy the RF version. It's pretty nuts. And
I got to ask you, Matt, though. Okay, looking at this, tell us, first off, what lens is that on the front of it?
It's the 85-1.2.
85-1.2, okay.
Yep.
Tell us, I think everybody wants to know, is the autofocusing good on this? Compare. I mean, obviously we're not talking Z9.
I've had it for 24 hours. I haven't had a chance to test that. So in real terms, I can't tell you. I'll tell you next week. I'll tell you next week, buddy. I promise.
Okay. All right. That's beautiful, though. That's beautiful. How long do you have it for?
A week or two.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So expect something cinematic. I don't know what I'm going to do, but here's the interesting thing. It's roughly the same price as the Z9. It's roughly the same weight as the Z9. And yet here we are.
Wow.
It's compelling, isn't it, Bobby?
It's very compelling.
And this is with the V-mount battery on it, which obviously makes it bigger. Anyway, I'm going to put it down now because this package is 2.5 kilos.
It needs to come with a gym membership. There we go. Let's look at the comments here. Everybody is excited. Komodo in the house. You can take
Komodo in the house, Ray. Absolutely.
Yeah, we go. Look at this. Question, is the Z QQQ from Roy, is the red Z still a 40mm flange distance? That's
sorry. What's the question? Is the red still the 40mm
is the red
flange?
Distance? Yeah. Is the red Z still?
This is the Z mount on this camera, which means the specification is exactly the same as all Z cameras. So I think it's 16mm is the distance from the flange to the sensor, and obviously the throat size is still that 55 mil or whatever it is. So so this is identical. Our lenses perform the same, they mount the same, everything's the same. You can go Z9 to red Komodo X or red Raptor VV, which is the VistaVision 8K global crazy camera. They wouldn't lend me one of those because it's worth more than a car. Fair enough. Now, there was another interesting question, I think, there from Z. Wait, let me throw that up. I've always said that the Nikon 1.2s would be so fun on video-only camera. Was I right, Matt? Tell me, it's a win. This is something that I kind of speculated in the past. It's like, why is Nikon making all of this beautiful, crazy glass? You know what? It could be good for cinema. And here it is. It's amazing for cinema. And when you talk about cine lenses, these are affordable when you compare it to most of the high-end cine lenses that are out there. So to see this synergy coming together, and the fact that I'm mounting my 85 and I'm getting all of the goodness of the 85. Now, of course, the Komodo X is a Super 35, which is basically APS-C. So this lens becomes a 127.5. But that's okay. If I want 50 mil, I just put on the 35 1.2. So yes, C Wade, the master plan is unfolding, and yeah, the pieces are coming together, and it's pretty amazing.
No, the question we all want to know, Matt. The question we all want to know, Matt, is this: are you going to buy one yourself?
Yeah, well, you asked me that last week.
I mean, as a Nikon connoisseur as you are, and as a Z mount
wine that it is.
Yes, yes. Would you bring in the Komodo Z mount into your arsenal, or would you go for just stick with the Z9, Z8?
Yeah, I think the short answer is I'm very interested.
Ooh.
Okay. And we can have a protracted answer maybe later in the episode, or whenever you like.
So kidneys are going on sale on eBay later on today, right?
Yeah, well, it's kind of not that expensive. Like I said, it's the same price as a Z9.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
But the idea of 16-bit color, like I've always wanted to be a filmmaker. Like that's always been in my core since the start. This is the tool that I wanted to buy when I was 19 that cost about $500,000. And that $500,000 tool is now, I think it's $699 USD, right? So it's changed. Right. And this tool is 10 times better than the tool I was looking at 35 years ago.
Right.
So honestly, this is kind of the full circle of the journey that I've been on. And to now be able, like, do you remember that moment when we first found out that we could start to shoot video with our DSLRs? And it was like, what? I can use my full frame lenses on a DSLR to make video? This is going to be way better because, you know, most film people were working in Super 35 or 16 mil, right? And this was a game changer.
Sure.
Well, we've just kept leaping and leaping forwards. Now, everybody, I've just got to let you know I've got an echo in my ear of myself, which is making it really hard for me to think. So if I sound a bit weird sometimes, it's because I'm hearing myself and we couldn't work out how to get rid of that echo. Now, do we have more questions in the comments? And please don't forget to like and QQQ.
Like, yeah, let's see here. We got
and subscribe. Yes, do that.
a lot of comments on here with this. Where are we going? Any questions here that we have thus far?
Are you going to go my way? Are we talking Lenny Kravitz, fellow citizen? I'm not sure who you're talking to.
I think so.
Yeah.
Will the Z cameras be Netflix approved cameras list anytime soon? Well, I think the Red Komodo is. Yep. The Red Komodo is already Netflix approved. This is as well.
Yep.
So that's already in there. I don't know.
I mean, when I picked this camera up, we've got quite a robust film industry here in Melbourne. And they were telling me how these productions just sort of ring up and go, you know, we need 3 more Komodo X's for a shot we're doing next week.
Yeah.
You know, because for a $150 million Hollywood production, picking up a couple of these for, you know, 25, 30 grand. That's the lunch budget, I suspect, each day. You know,
have you shot with the Red before?
This is the first time.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, get ready for R3D files. If you're using Final Cut Pro, I believe you still need a plug-in for that.
Yep.
So drop that in. But yeah, get ready for those fans to kick on, buddy. Get ready for those fans to go.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to stretch everything.
It
Now,
is fun to play with these files. Yeah.
so we'll talk more about the red in future episodes. But Bobby, can you? I haven't actually researched the new Canon cameras, and they
I know
are.
nothing about this. This Canon V, I have no idea what this is.
All right, we're
I
going to
saw
do
this
this.
come up
We're
on
going to do this
Instagram.
together then.
Yeah.
And this is on Canon Rumors, although there is an official launch video teaser up, isn't there?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm just jumping to Canon Rumors, and I'll throw that up on the screen.
Yeah, let's see what we got here. Because I see the Canon V or Canon 5, whatever it is. There's two cameras. One looks like a compact camera. The other one is darker, and it looks like it could be something like a, it could be a fixed lens camera system that's larger sensor. Who knows? Could be.
Yeah, so we're looking at it here. There's an announcement on the 26th, which is mid next week. I presume it's a rumor that it's the EOS R50V. These are both compact cameras. I don't really know what to think or expect. Does anybody in the comments have any thoughts or ideas around what might be going on here?
Compact. Look, it says it's assumed it'll be an entry-level vlogger-focused camera. We expect it to be around $650 USD and kitted with a new lens. I don't know if they would do all this for a vlogging camera.
Well, didn't they put out a really weird
they did.
vlogging camera like 2 years ago that was just a complete failure?
Yeah.
Yep.
I actually had that in hand, and it was really not performing that well, so I just didn't go ahead with a review on it. I just felt like it was unnecessary. I felt like, it was a cool design and it was a cool concept, but I felt like it's more of a concept than an actual. Some people bought it though, they liked it, they enjoyed it, but it really wasn't, I think, for every day. But this looks to be a little bit more than just a vlogging camera. You know what I mean? For them to do this branding like this, that's not to vloggers. This seems to be more like, I'm thinking like a Q-ish, maybe X100 6 kind of vibe. You know what I mean? Something a little bit more street photography, a little bit more in that realm of, maybe it could be a fixed lens camera, but it's going to be a little bit more, a good hybrid for photography and video. That's just my take.
Yeah, that's cool. Sorry, I've got a comment up on the screen here that I don't know. It's not letting me. It's not letting me change the comments at the moment. Oh, there we go. Fixed. So, Bobby, another thing that I thought was worth discussing, and I see this appearing in my comments on a regular basis, and that is the assertion, when we talk about video, you and I, we talk about the fact that all these cameras, we have some degree of video features. Even this new Fuji has a degree of, it's got 4K video, fantastic.
Yeah.
And we see people saying, I just want them to release a camera. I want a new camera that has no video. I don't want them to spend any money on video. I don't want video menus.
What happened?
No video. And I just want to use this opportunity to reiterate the fact that a mirrorless hybrid camera is actually a video camera. That is what they've made. And then these companies have gone to a lot of trouble to make them stills cameras. But by default, they're video cameras, because it's the definition of a video camera is we're getting a live feed to the sensor, and then you hit record, and that's video. And that's how these things are working. And it's a completely different paradigm than what we had with SLR and DSLR.
Yeah.
And so that's really just what I wanted to discuss, this notion, this idea that, like, let's remove the video. And it's like, you can't remove the video. Now, you could remove the menus, sure.
Right.
But I would actually say, from a programming perspective, that they start from a baseline of moving images, and then it's like, how do we grab them? How do we grab a still from what the feed is, from the sensor to the EVF? And that's the challenge that the engineers are faced with. So they're actually working of a baseline that this is a video camera, and now how do we stillify it? You know what I'm saying?
Interesting. I never looked at it that way. But I guess it's an interesting approach to it, But I do understand the demand for some people to want a photography-only camera, but the reality of it is that is quite a niche market and not going to be mainstream, and companies need to make money. And as we know, the younger generation loves video. I mean, look at our Instagram. Everything is video now, right? It's predominantly video. Photography is still getting a bit of a boost, but it's video. So yeah, I mean, there's a few cameras out there that are photography only cameras, but for the most part, but I never looked at it that way. That's an interesting way to look at it.
Well, it's literally like we have a sensor. You know, there's a sensor.
Yeah.
And in order for the EVF to function, there is a live feed going from that sensor.
True.
It is,
True.
and thus, it is the definition of a video camera. We have sensor and we have screen, and then you hit record, and you either record a single moment, a single frame,
Yep.
or you record multiple frames, and then
Nice.
basically, if you're wanting to shoot at 10 frames a second, well, you're doing motion picture from the 1920s or the 1910s where they could only manage 10 or 12 or 15, you know, back in the Charlie Chaplin era where they're doing this.
Sure.
And so that's, and all that video is putting together a whole lot of still frames quicker and quicker, right? But the very first versions of cinema were you know, these still frames coming together slower, and that's why films look jittery when we pay them back today, or they look sped up because of that very reason. Anyway, I just wanted to use this opportunity to just reiterate that mirrorless hybrid cameras are by definition and engineering video cameras, which we're just frame grabbing from them. That's all we're doing. But the live feed to the EVF is a video camera. That is actually what is going on. It's a video camera. It's a video camera, even if you're not shooting stills or video. It is behaving as a video camera.
So the processing is more for the photography side of it than it is for the video side of it in many ways.
Well, so what they've had to do is then build a paradigm around this video camera. Like, let's say you've got the red that we've got here, right? That's built for video. So what do we do to build it for stills? Well, we add a more ergonomic grip. We maybe add an EVF, and we add a button that allows us to grab a frame. And what? And then we call it a hybrid camera, right?
Interesting. Yeah, you're right. Interesting.
And it's the same for what we're doing. I don't have any cameras on my desk, but it's the same what we're doing today. Is we have a button to do one at a time, and we have another button to do at a nominated rate, which might be 24 frames, 50 frames, 120 frames, and we nominate what we want to do. Anyway, there we go. That was my topic, and it's something that gets talked about a lot in my videos. Maybe it's not something that you're confronted with. Do we have any more QQQs? Have you hit the like button? Have you subscribed to Bobby's channel? Have you put in your diary that you're going to be coming back next Friday for us to do this again on Bobby's channel? Because we're going to swing between his channel and my channel on a fortnightly basis. Bobby, what's going on in the comments?
Taking a look here. Just more talking about frame grabbing at higher bit depth, though. I mean, we're getting more into the technical stuff here.
Yep.
In terms of the comments coming into play. Let's go back a bit here.
I love the technical stuff. I live for the technical stuff.
You love the technical stuff.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
Coach Hero's got a QQQ and then wrote nothing. So he just
I love it. Let's throw that. Where is that? What's that? Oh, I like it. There it is.
Yeah, just a QQQ. There we go.
Finish your question, sir. We would love you to do that. Cody Smith, welcome to the house.
Yeah,
mirrorless hardware is. You can read it, Bobby. You go.
Yeah. Mirrorless hardware is capable of video regardless. Artificially removing the video capabilities would just limit the sales of the product. Agree. 100%. And
Peace.
That is...
Peace.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what I'm saying, brother.
I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
You've got... What cameras are now photography only? You've got...
Leica M.
Leica M. And they used to have video. They had video back in the day with the 240, and then they got rid of it.
Hasselblad.
Hasselblad, only a photography. So
although they did have video there for a short moment, maybe about 6 years ago. Yep.
They did on the X1D, if I'm not mistaken, and the X1D2. Then they got rid of it. Yeah.
Well, I played with an early version of that camera, and it had like a video button or whatever, and it said coming in a future firmware update. And I'm not sure if it ever arrived. I don't know.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so there's not many cameras that fit that category, and even as we've discussed with the Leica M11, you can still add an EVF, and you are then just sitting there looking. It is then a video camera at that point in time when you're using that EVF. True. That is the definition from my perspective. We have the QQQ now. It's come through. Let me get that one up. Will or should Red cameras have a global shutter full frame sensor? Z92. So Red already do have a full frame global sensor, and that's in the Raptor VV. It exists. It's about a $35,000 or $45,000 USD camera.
It's a budget camera.
Z92. It's hard to say. I think the biggest problem is that I believe these sensors are very expensive. I think that's the biggest problem. And they probably get hot.
Yeah, they do.
Yep. So
that...
I think it'll come at some point, whether it's as soon as the Z9 II, hard to say. I feel like based on the cost that we know these sort of things are, I would bet unlikely. That's how I would bet on that one. Yep.
Yeah, I think the Z9 II is going to be more just, upgrading some of the hardware a bit. Maybe you get a little bit faster readout. You might get 30 frames per second RAW, for example, or maybe
pre-capture RAW.
Pre-capture RAW. But you probably are not. I mean, I think we have to set our expectations realistically. I think for the last couple of years, if we've learned anything, there's many rumor sites out there that have put out these halo products, so to speak, and we wish there was this, and then they started trying to beat it into everybody that this is what's coming, and then when we see the actual product, everybody's let down, but not realizing that look, camera sales right now are okay, but they're not at what they used to be 5-10 years ago. So companies are not going to be throwing in the kitchen sink just yet and putting in some crazy tech that's going to cost everybody $15,000 for a full frame camera system.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about, and look, Sony did the similar thing with the A1 II, didn't they? It's an iterative update, and that's totally fine. And that's the world that we used to live in. Like when I went from a D3 to a D3S, you got like 2 new features. That was it. Like we're getting way more with firmware today than we ever got just 10, 15 years ago. The thing about these sensors in the A1 II, the R5 II, the Z8, the Z9 is they're already very, very fast. And I think Bobby and I can both safely say we might have taken a shot of a helicopter or someone swinging a golf club, and I haven't seen rolling shutter. You can generate rolling shutter, and this is why I say generate, because it's like real world usage versus I'm going to do this. Oh, I created rolling shutter. Geez, this thing is so bad. You know what I'm saying there, Bobby? We might have seen that happen recently, but we won't talk about it. In real world usage for steels, we don't really see rolling shutter. And yeah, I mean, in the end, if you are going to shoot something for Netflix and you're going to make $50 million, then maybe you'll get the Komodo X, which is the same price. And it's got a global shutter if you need it. And if you don't need it, shoot it on your Z8, your Z9, your A1, or your R5. We are spoiled. We're spoiled for choice. Yeah,
we are spoiled. And you got to talk, and the reality of it is the YouTube world and the real world are 2 different worlds.
Yes.
Right. And I think we need to put that in perspective, is that the rolling shutter debacle that everybody's been going on about, we talked about this. I don't want to get into it again, but it's really, I mean, nobody shoots this.
Yeah, well, we mostly talk to what we really think offline, and we're gentlemanly enough to not talk about it online, right, Bobby? Something like that.
Pretty much. We're going to keep it like that. Yeah.
Quick QQQ, just to change the subject. Costas asks, do you see Viltrox making zoom lenses? Just to jump back to that for a millisecond. Sure, I think zoom lenses are harder to make than prime lenses, because of the more complexity and the mechanisms and so on. So I would say they're having a great time with primes at the moment, and they've got a good roadmap. Maybe it's still a few years away if it ever happens. Don't know.
And I think from a marketing perspective, primes do get more buzz than zooms.
Yep.
Because zooms, you feel like you're going to compromise along the way. And zooms, there's so many companies out there with zoom lenses, but not many have really good prime lenses. That's the trick. I mean, and that's the key. I think, in this space, if we have E-mount and Z-mount, Sony and Nikon respectively have very good prime lenses. Other companies do too. But for the third-party manufacturers, primes are harder to make. They do zooms all day long. But a really solid 135 1.8 prime that performs probably close to something double the price, that's impressive. That's a really good, from a marketing perspective, that's going to go further than saying I got a 24-70 of 2.8 again. It's like, well, I already got that lens. I don't need that. You know what I mean?
Oh, I totally agree. And to make a cutting edge zoom that everyone goes, that is really, 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 really difficult. And we don't see many of them. I mean, I've not used the 28-70 f2s from either Canon or Sony. But I do read that they're, when they're wide open, they're a bit soft. So even the first party manufacturers struggled to make these halo zoom lenses, you know, and we're now pushing into territory that we've never seen before.
When I used the Canon, it wasn't soft anywhere. That thing is a beautiful lens. That thing was, I mean, it was sharp. It was like a prime in every focal length, but it's a big lens. I've not tried the Sony yet. I've been asking Sony if I can get one for review, but they just don't have them. So I may have to just rent it from another third-party rental company to get one for review. Because I want to test this lens out. The size, the performance. I mean, if Sony's done what they've done with the 24-70 f 2.8 and there are other zooms out there, the 16-35, and it's even better optics than that, holy cow. That's going to be amazing to try.
Now, Phil very realistically has asked, they should put a global sensor in the Z5 too. Yes.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, well.
What camera's that again?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we should obviously expect every entry-level camera that comes out from every manufacturer to have a global sensor.
Global shutter.
Yeah. Pinkles asks, would Nikon ever make a limited run of film cameras?
They did.
I don't think so. I don't think
they did already. They did, right?
Well, like 20 years ago, do you mean?
Yeah. But I mean, but would they do it again? I mean, I don't know. That'd be interesting. I've asked that question too. I don't know if they will. I really don't know if they will. But,
I would just love to see the SP as a digital, you know, in the same vein as the X100.
In a digital, yes. That would be badass to see that in digital.
Oh my God.
John just got an SP. Johnny, you got he got one of those limited run SPs.
John, I'm so jealous that you've got one. Now I want one which is digital. That's what I want. Yeah. Yes, very good. All right, well, Bobby, so we've talked about Canon, we've talked about Fuji, we've talked about Viltrox, and we've talked about the new Red. We've talked about the fact that our hybrid cameras are actually video cameras, so everyone relax.
We did.
It's all good. What do they say? What are those signs that say something and be calm? Oh, I can't remember. You know, think of Britain, whatever it is. Now, everybody, is there any more questions before Bobby and I sail off into the sunset for yet another week? Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course we will be here in this same place next week, same bad time, same bad channel on Bobby's channel.
That's right.
Not same bad channel, but you know what I mean. Between the two.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then VJ says, I wish they would re-release for a limited time the Nikon FM3A. Yes, I have that camera. I love that camera. That is an amazing camera, an engineering marvel. Fully mechanical, 4,000 shutter speed, you know. Yeah, quite amazing.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Keep calm and keep pressing like. Thank you very much, fellow citizen. And by the way, is that Grace Jones on your thumbnail there? Or
it looks like Grace Jones.
It looks a little bit like Grace Jones from Slave to the Rhythm era. I like. Do you remember that song?
Look at you. Oh, I do. Look at you. Yeah.
Back when I used to go out dancing, Bobby, we used to call it a disco.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
What did you call it in your neighborhood?
Club.
A club. No, we went clubbing. That's true. We went clubbing. Yeah, I forgot.
I'm from Las Vegas. We had other clubs too.
Oh, you had every club. You've got all the clubs. Doesn't matter which flavor, which variety.
We had it all. Things that I will not discuss on YouTube. Yes,
fantastic. That's very good. That'll stay in the vault.
Vegas, yes. Growing up in Las Vegas, we saw a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah, and what happens in Las Vegas, you know what they say. Now, King Kruk, will we get a Z200 micro lens? I think Nikon will make every lens that they've made in the past for the Z range. It just, depending on how niche it is, will depend how long it takes. So you tell us how niche it is, and then I will guess it might be 5 years away. You know, I mean, a lot of people are asking for the 200. Is it the 200 f2? Is that the same lens?
I don't know.
Neither do I.
You know, there was a couple of secondhand ones that came in to Singapore, and I almost got one time, but it's a very big lens. And I just thought to myself, when am I actually going to use this? You know what I mean? Because it's such a specific case. But if it came in smaller and it came from mirrorless, it'd be very interesting. I might have to dive into that one. You know what I mean? Okay. But I don't know who would do something like that. I mean, would Nikon come out with a 200 f2? I mean, Canon had one back in the day.
Oh, no, there's an F-mount one that people
No, the F1. Yeah, no, that's the one I almost bought. But I'm just saying I almost got it. But I'm just saying, like, would they do a mirrorless version? You know what I mean now? Like something for a Z mount or, you know, RF mount, respectively.
What I would expect is it's a Z mount version, and it's either, you know, 30% smaller, or it's a 1.8 or something. You know, they
Z
make
now
it.
30% smaller. Those two don't go hand in hand.
Well, Bobby, if we think about their long lenses, like the 400 and the 600, they actually have gotten smaller and lighter. Because I own.
Did they?
Yes, I own the 2 generations back 400 2.8, and that thing is like 4.5 kilos, whereas the Z one is like 2.7 kilos. So it's actually lost a lot of weight. It's been at the gym. It's been working hard. It's doing great. It's doing great.
Okay.
Cutting back on sugar, I suspect.
Yes. There we go.
But I think there's a lot more carbon fiber. You know, I reckon that's what's going on. There's a lot more carbon fiber and those sort of elements that they can use now.
Of course.
Plus smarter optical form. And didn't you hear, because of solar flares, glass is now lighter? I'm just joking.
You're getting deep into the woods on the science on me, man. This has become National Geographic.
No, I'm just making stuff up. Now, we just had a question here from Z Wade as we run down the home straight. The last QQQs, have you given us a like? If you haven't given us a like, I tell you, Bobby's going to come and find you. He's going to find you wherever you are in the world. We need our likes. Z Wade says, can you both guarantee that you'll do your best to have a great weekend? Oh, Z Wade. Aren't you lovely?
Very sweet.
I tell you.
Yeah, we're going to do... What's your weekend like?
Mine? Well, I have a 9-year-old and a 12-year-old, so a lot of it revolves around that. But I'm going to make something up and say, yes, I'm taking a new camera up a mountain and I'm going to do some base jumping. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
with your red
Bobby?
Komodo and your 8512.
Yes,
do that with
the red Komodo, base jumping, 120 frames per second, globe shutter, no tearing.
Test that rolling shutter. Test that rolling shutter as you fall down.
There'll be none. That's the point. There'll be no rolling shutter.
That would be the ultimate. That would be the ultimate rolling shutter test, by the way.
It would.
Bungee jump.
Imagine strapping that like if I get this thing, and then I put the little 40 mil on it, which is about this big, and then it'll actually be quite small, and that'll work great.
Yes.
Then you can.
That's what you need to do. The ultimate rolling shutter test. For every camera, Matt, you go bungee jumping, and then just put everybody else to shame. Forget the shake.
Yes.
You're now dropping 5 stories.
I think that you've got it. That's the hook. This is the guy that throws himself off the highest building in his city every episode just to get a real rolling shutter test. I love that. That is so good.
Yes.
How about your weekend, Bobby? What's going on?
You know, this is going to sound really sad, but I'm actually going to be shooting reviews this weekend. So I'm going to be doing the Sigma BF tomorrow and something else coming up. And that's my weekend, so to speak, and kind of chilling out and editing. I don't do a lot on the weekends, to be honest with you. I work almost 7 days a week a lot of the times on this stuff. So yeah, but it's fun. I go out and take photos. I'll go hang out with friends. You know what I mean? But I'll be working on those videos. That's me.
Yeah, well, you and I are in the same boat there. Remember, I made up my fantasy weekend. Although I do try and get out on my bicycle and go for a ride on the weekend if I can. And now King Cruck is asking, will I make it to NAB? Are we talking about NAB at Las Vegas when we're talking NAB there? I presume we are, Bobby. Do you reckon that's what he's talking about?
Possibly so, yeah.
Yes. So I'm in Australia. I'm quite a long way from Las Vegas, sadly. I'm still threatening to do some sort of Northern Hemisphere tour as soon as I can, and then I will come to all of these things and I will go to all of these places. So not this year, unfortunately.
Z-Wade says Matt Irwin's weekend is definitely going to see the live action Snow White. Poor guy. Made my parents take me to the first Pokemon movie and still feel guilty 28 years later. I will tell you something, Z-Wade. I watched Snow White already, right? Ooh. And I will tell you it's better than I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
It's faithful to the original animated movie. I mean, they've taken some liberties, but it's not what the actress was claiming it was when she did her interviews that got everybody upset. I think that was a PR lesson that she learned the hard way, is don't say things like that which aren't true, or maybe they were true and they reshot based on the feedback, who knows. But I will tell you that the movie is actually pretty good. And it has a lot of songs in it. A bit too many songs for my liking, but it's a musical, but it's a lot of songs. But I would say that actually it was a lot better than I thought. So if you are going to go take your family to see it this weekend, go in with an open mind, and you may find yourself going, actually, this was quite fun. Hi ho, hi ho.
Hi ho,
the dwarfs are,
hi ho.
hi ho.
It's
Whoops.
off to work we go. With a shovel and a pick
Monetization.
and a working stick. Hi ho, hi ho, hi ho, hi ho. Did they have that one in there, Bobby? I'm trying to think of the snow.
They do.
They do.
They have all the original songs in there. So,
I don't even remember any of them, except that one.
Pretty good right there. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
The dwarfs are actually really cute. They're really good. The dwarfs are good.
Okay.
Watch it. I mean, go in there with an open mind. I think for those who like movies, you'll find it to be quite enjoyable with the family. You know what I mean? So there you go.
I love Fellow Citizen says, Matt, you should do the Soviet train trip thing again. Yeah, absolutely. Fellow Citizen is referring to when in 2003, I think it was, I did the Trans-Mongolian rail trip, which takes you from Beijing through Mongolia, through Ulaanbaatar, up through Lake Baikal and Irkutsk, to then travel for 5 days solid from the almost Vladivostok all the way across to Moscow, which takes 5 days on a train. And then you end up in St. Petersburg, and you actually travel kilometers-wise, miles-wise, distance-wise, a third of the way around the world by train. It took 3 weeks, one of the most amazing things I ever did. And I actually did it it was work for a company called Intrepid, who does small group tours, and I was photographing this trip. I would like to do it again. I probably won't do it at the moment with the current geopolitical biz that's going on, but it's, maybe in the coming. I mean, there's lots of other great places, and I've never been to Italy. I got to get to. You been to Italy?
You know what?
I've been lots of other places.
I'm Italian. I've been to Italy. You never been to Italy?
I wondered. I've been to France. I've been to Germany. I've been to Greece. I've been to the UK.
Oh my God!
I've been to Czechoslovakia. I've been to Turkey. Just didn't make it to Italy the 3 times I've been to Europe. Anyway, it's a long way from
Italy's
here.
beautiful. Italy, everything's long from Australia. You know what I mean?
Bobby, where are the Tonellis from in Italy? Are you in the north, the south?
Tuscany, north.
That sounds deluxe.
I don't know. Not really.
Okay.
I mean, we're from a small town in the small Italian Alps in Italy up north. So yeah, Tuscany. My grandmother was from the region of Parma. Yeah. So I've been to where my grandfather's from and my family's from. It's a very tiny place, very, very tiny place. But Italy is beautiful. Actually, Italy is more beautiful when you go outside of the major cities and you go into the rural areas, the wineries and the countryside. I mean, it's picturesque. It's beautiful. The people are warm and inviting. When you go into the cities, you got to watch yourself. A lot of pickpocketers. Everybody's trying to scam you a little bit more because it's kind of a cutthroat with the economy, the way things are, and just the mentality. But I mean, it's beautiful to see as well. Rome, Florence, all that is amazing to see. You have to see it at least once. But when you're outside in the countryside, the people are just warmer. You know what I mean? It's just naturally how it is.
Like most of these places. So what you're saying is I shouldn't have the GFX100 RF in one hand and the Komodo X in the other hand and just kind of stroll around the city hoping that this will be okay.
You'll end up without a camera.
Yep. Yep. All right, Bobby. Well, we've had fun. That has flown past, and we've talked about lots of cool stuff. It's been so great to have everybody, all of you there, and the interactions have been marvelous. Please do give us that last like. Next week, Bobby, we're going to be on your channel. And what's the name of your channel, Bobby?
Bobby Tonelli.
Just in case. It's
my
tough
name,
to
Bobby
find.
Tonelli.
It's called Bobby Tonelli.
That's it.
So we'll be... You go.
No. We'll be over there. We'll be chatting. Same thing, same time, same bat channel, unless something happens. If one of us is working, we'll let you guys know in advance. But yeah, it should be the same exact time here. And looking forward to it, Matt. More to come this upcoming week. Absolutely, my friend. Now I have to find the finish button. I would like to thank everybody so much for being here. We will see you soon. And take care. And Z Wade, you have a great weekend. And I hope everyone else has a great weekend. All right. Bye, Bobby. Take care. Take care, Matt.